Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the special Labor Day weekend video here tonight for my loyal YouTube followers and Twitter and stock Twitch. Welcome back. In tonight's analysis, we're going to be looking at Spider, Q's, Semiconductor, and because this is going to be the weekend or the Labor Day weekend special, we're gonna add Apple, Microsoft, NVDA, and Tesla. So perfect. I know we have one more day tomorrow, but I want to get this out to you guys tonight because tomorrow I'm gonna be busy, and so I might not have time to put a video. And so this market, when we did come back down here, as you can see right here, and as you know that I've been anticipating this correction right here. And once we came down and about 6% on the S&P, about 8% on the NASDAQ, a little more on the semiconductor, we talked about the fact that we had that rising pivot, right? That's the level right there, and the rising uptrend support. And this was a likely level that we want to kind of anticipate a possible level of support. So we witnessed this level getting reclaimed or getting supported there, right? Prior resistance acting as new support, right? That's a classic technical analysis 101 there. And then we saw that and we initially bounced. What happened was, though, there was that short-term and mid-term moving average on the right in that vicinity. You can see that short-term, that's a green moving average there. The short-term moving average coming down did act as resistance last few occasions on those swing highs. So definitely it does carry some weight there that it's been supporting the sellers for a couple of weeks. And then my midterm moving average is blue dotted moving average coming down. That's where we act as resistance right here. So you can see we had both short term and the midterm right on that vicinity. This is the reason why we saw very abrupt sell-off for a couple of days. And then we retested it. Right, as you can see right there, we retested it, that rising pivot. You can see the dotted blue or purple, that rising pivot and the rising option support there one more time, and kind of through that, little double bottom type of pattern there. And then that's the neckline. And then what happened was that micro term, once the micro term was reclaimed, and this gap was very crucial. And I was tweeting things out, I think, on that day, that this gap remains open. We want to continue to give benefit of the doubt to the buyers because we firmly got supported, right here in the rising pivot and the rising option support there. And then we have the micro term, and then we got the gap up, right? So we have the double bottom supports getting protected here and sustained. And on top of that, we have that up gap right there. So you can see this is where we close. We gapped here. That's the first hour, second hour, third, fourth, fifth, sixth hour. And as you can see, there's some lower wicks, but that gap was not fully filled. Perfect. And we're still above the micro term. I think once that happened, after it's finding support on that pivots and support, this was looking more like a bullish flagging continuation pattern because this up gap was protected and sustained. And you can see next day it pretty much blew through the short term, blew through the midterm, blew through the long term, and market kept going higher.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Oh wow, that's so cool.
Market made a very swift move to the upside. And during that transition, it met with this island down gap right here. As you can see, that's the down gap, right? It's an island because, as you know, there's an up gap here. There's up gap, and then it gapped down about several days later. And island down gap is the strongest form of in the gap family. Once that happened, we saw very abrupt sell-off, and then bulls finally got to the island down gap, which I've been calling it the boss bear command center. It is not a coincidence. It is not a random occurrence. It is not a mistake that when we got there, as you can see, we're pulling back. The price is aware of this boss bear command center, the island down gap. And as you can see, not only that, we did see that oscillator hitting that overbought zone. So every time you kind of see that oscillator seeing that overbought zone, it's not always the case that, you know, market is going to roll over. So when we, and again, we're looking at 65-minute chart here. So when we're looking at 65-minute chart and looking at 65-minute chart oscillator, you need more than just oscillator cross to determine if this market is going to see 5 to 10% correction. Remember, going all the way to July, it only happened here because look at all these down gaps and island down gap. 3 down gaps with the island down gap on top of it. And then we had a bearish divergence go along with it. Of course, you put all that together, yes, we see, you know, 6 to 8% correction. But you can see other times we'll see maybe 1 or 2%. Sometimes we see just quick pullback before it's going back up. So right now, as the market is stalling right on that island down gap, that's the pink area right here. That's the boss bear command center. That's the high alerts going on. It's flaring right now. Boss bears and the troops, the bear troops are full alert. Bulls are charging, and bears do not like that they got that close. Bulls got to the front door of boss bear command center. And so now bears are shooting down the bulls, and with that we're seeing a little bit of pullback right here. As you can see today, we saw gap up, looks to be an exhaustion up gap. Again, remember that oscillator was already overbought, as you can see here. So when we did see that up gap, bulls will have to push just on that first hour, but bulls are already tired because again, that oscillator is already at extreme overbought. And not to mention we're just right on the front door of the boss bear command center. Of course, we're going to see some pullback right here, especially the fact that we just pretty much went vertical for an entire week.
Oh, I don't like the news anymore. Oh, I don't like the news anymore.
So from here, what can we expect? You can see my micro-term moving average, right? We just pretty much ended the day just right on top of the micro-term moving average. The micro-term moving average sometimes could provide us, we can see right here. On this day, we see a very similar action here. As you can see, we see a gap up, right there. You see that gap up? It gapped up, moved up on the first hour, but started deteriorating, right? Where did it come down to? It came down to that micro-term moving average. Same thing right here. See that? This is a big gap up. It came down to where? The micro-term moving average. So I mean, that micro-term could still provide support. Only difference here and here is that we didn't have any sort of island down gap at the time. I think this is much stronger resistance right now. However, if we do find support in this micro-term, as you can see right here, as I zoom in, that micro-term, that micro-term do act as support, if we do see a pop tomorrow, bulls might want to retest that. Might want to retest the high here at 453 or so. However, that oscillator going into tomorrow is not favoring the buyers. What does that mean? So if we do see any kind of pop, you do want to expect a fade towards end of the day or in the middle of the day, because bulls don't have enough energy here to able to push through the island down gap. And obviously shenanigan could be in play, right? So you have to keep in mind sometimes the unthinkable do happen. And I'm analyzing this market in a sense of in a general sense, the high probability scenario. But can the bulls become a Superman here all of a sudden tomorrow? Some kind of news hit or something like that, and then all of a sudden we see this thing just going straight to like 458 or something like that tomorrow. Yes, but also we could also see this, and so we have to always keep in mind when we analyzing the stock market, there's always that variable, that low chance variable, that shenanigan, upside shenanigan or downside shenanigan variable, where market can do something crazy to the upside or downside. That to able to forecast that and predict that, well, none of us can able to do that. So that's given. So
out there beyond that fence, every living thing that crawls, flies, or squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for jujubes.
We are just right on the micro term. If we do lose that micro term, I could see 447, 99, so 448 pretty much, because that's a previous known swing high. We got the moving averages cluster right here. See that? So we have a stronger support at 448 all the way down to 445. This is going to be served as a strong support. What the bulls need right now is need to reset that oscillator, right? Either they can do it, bring this oscillator all the way back down to the bottom of its span, or what they can do is they can actually oscillate back and forth at the top of its band without going all the way to the bottom. And then we see minimal pullback and then keep kind of, you know what I'm saying, thrusting higher with the shorter term, micro term pullback in intraday. That's also a possibility. So going into tomorrow, we'll look at the micro term. We lose micro term, 447 is there. We'll also keep an eye on that oscillator when we're going to see that cross, right? Want to freely fly and really go to the moon and go above and beyond of that all-time high level at 480. This boss bear command center, this island down gap must be dismantled by going up and filling it. But not only we have the island down gap here, we have another down gap here, we got another down gap here, we got the swing high at 458. So you can see this entire vicinity is gonna be pretty significant resistance. Sellers, the boss bears and his troops, they're not just gonna let you go into their building and create a havoc, right? They got all the gears out, they got all the weapons out, they got all the guns out, and they're ready to shoot down, and they're gonna try to guard this with everything they got. Just keep that in mind because we're dealing with the island down gap. Let's go NASDAQ here. So NASDAQ 100. So as you can see, on Qs, bulls were able to kind of breach a little bit of that island down gap. So actually, the Qs buyers, you can see here, they kind of cracked that front door. They got into the lobby here, but looked like they got shot down with some, mid-tier boss director of the command center. And you can see, but we're not totally rolling over. We're consolidating here. I mean, this could potentially be some sort of a bull flagging pattern, you think, before making another higher. I mean, maybe something like this right here. See that? There's a moving averages here. We made a move, consolidation, made another move, consolidation. Can we see another move to the upside? However, keep in mind though, when we did see that consolidation right here, you see how that oscillator was almost fully reset at the bottom of its span, and it was on the way up, meaning it had a much more energy to push through this, what it appears to be a bull flagging pattern under the mid-term moving average and short-term moving averages. And again, we were still in a downtrend, so bulls really needed that energy to push through all of those, and they really did that with that oscillator just coming off of after a full reset. Well, right now it's a little bit different. As you can see, that oscillator is curling down. We're not coming off of a full rest, full reset mode. We're not coming off of that. We're coming off of full, hitting that ceiling, getting tired. And now bulls they're running out of the energy state, and then that oscillator is already curling down. So even if we do see that upside move, I don't know if they can keep carrying it on. This is a level, this is a vicinity where you could see upside move and then dwindle down, upside move, dwindle down. It's sort of kind of, you see the tug of war going on versus bulls and bears. So this is sort of a type of day we're probably going to experience tomorrow and early next week. If we do fall down, we do have micro term here, but I think 375, 372-ish, I think this vicinity is going to be served as stronger support. All the moving averages clustered in that vicinity right here. So actually, because of moving averages, this entire vicinity, not only that, we got the rising uptrend support here. So I'm in very, very strong support. So if we do see further decline, you know, I don't think it's not a bad idea to maybe pull back to somewhere here, retest some of those moving average, have the oscillators fully recover and reset, and then just go and hammer and just completely dismantle this island down gap, the boss bear commence. And I think that might be better in my opinion. But let's say if we try to get up there from here, maybe this is a bull pennant, bull flat, I think it's going to go up and come back down. It's going to go up, come back down, and inevitably it's going to get very choppy and ugly price action. Let's go to semiconductor here real quick. Semiconductor is, there's no boss bear command center on semiconductor. We got the all-time high level at 160 as SMH. That's the only gap. We're just kind of struggling here on this previous swing highs. Looks to be much more bullish here. We do have that oscillator curling down. So that could potentially be, we might looking for, if we see a further drawdown, right? Let's say that micro term moving average right here, if that micro term gets lost, because remember that micro term has been supporting this entire thing. Look at that micro term. Once it was reclaimed, market kept going higher for an entire week. So let's say if that micro term gets lost, I could see about 453 there. But let's say we find support here. I mean, semiconductor can just keep on keeping on riding that micro term. So keep an eye on that micro term, but that oscillator do need to reset. They might have a more move, firepower to the upside if that oscillator comes down a little more and have that reset. Sometimes it can reset in the middle of it, like something like this. We can see right there. So sometimes it could come down to the middle part of it. You know, that might mean we see a pullback and then finally go after that down gap here near the all-time high. Let's go to Apple here really fast. You know, this video is already getting pretty long here, so I'm gonna go through really fast here. You can see already the bulls have ate up the 50% of the down gap from early August. We've gone above, you can see the recent swing highs here, cultivating higher highs and higher lows. Took the liberty to draw this rising pivot, rising uptrend support. So it's very clear for Apple because it's already, again, it's getting tired. You see that oscillator's been working overtime, moving sideways here, which is not a bad thing, but sooner or later it's probably want to reset and retest. There's a micro term here, there's a long term here, there's a gap area here. But if we do see, because of this gap is not going to allow the market to make a move, have a smooth move to the upside. And so if we do see the micro term getting lost in the coming days or tomorrow, I could see retests of 185 or so. And then in that process, we could see that oscillator crossing back up. If we do see in this state, let's say, oscillator's flattening out here on the top of his band and bulls are tight. Let's say we do see another upside move. I could see an upside move and maybe feel a little bit more, and then it probably gonna fall back lower again, right? That's probably, and it's gonna have that choppy price action if bulls want to keep pushing it. The thing about bulls wanting to keep pushing it is if bulls don't have a proper rest, and keep pushes the, the price, what's going to happen is they're going to have to face bigger correction later. So keep that in mind, is that you're sort of like when you're overbought and keep hitting that overbought, it's kind of you're working on borrowed time, borrowed energy. Sooner or later, you're going to give it back. And then when you give it back that time or that energy, bears could take advantage of it and push it down much lower. So sometimes it's better to kind of allow it to have bear to come in and then have that pullback properly, and then bulls regather that energy, regather that momentum, and get back up here. You can see on Microsoft, these moving averages has not been reclaimed. So relatively speaking, as we looked at what Spider, Q, Semiconductor, and even Apple, relatively speaking, Microsoft is actually lagging looking at these moving averages. Remember, all of these indices and even Apple, when we analyzed today, all of them were above all the moving averages. And remember, we're looking at all the moving averages clusters. They're like on the way back if there's a pullback, right? Microsoft is actually still has not been reclaimed. So Microsoft really needs to do that. But keep that in mind, Microsoft is performing, correcting through time. See, just moving sideways here, not allowing that price to come down. And in that process, that also has pretty much halfway, more than halfway reset it. So that's what I call correcting through time. So once that oscillator crosses back up, they got some energy to push through, at least break above all the moving averages, and then, come back down, use that moving averages to act as a new support, and finally, fill that down gap. Remember the down gaps, when these gaps get filled, they're going to act as resistance. So if it's down gap, it's going to act as resistance. If it's an up gap, it's going to act as support. This is a down gap because it gapped down. Yes. But keep in mind though, if entire markets start to see some bearishness tomorrow and next week, because Microsoft is still bound by these moving averages and bulls trying really, really hard trying to stay above, looks like we're just utilizing the micro term and the short term moving average to stay afloat. So if we do lose the micro term and short term because of these longer term moving averages are above it, and it's been harder for Microsoft to find that traction versus other indices and Apple. Remember, other ones they've already made that uptrend. Microsoft has. So if we do see weakness in the overall market, I could see Microsoft seeing more weakness here unless they can reclaim these moving average in coming days. Let's look at NVDA. So NVIDIA's been getting a lot of attention because this thing made such a big move in the last year or so. And as you can see, it's been making new all-time highs, but price starting to get pretty crazy. We make a big move, comes back down, big move, gap up, fade, gap up and fade. We're back at it. So again, best way to kind of understand NVIDIA, I think, is mostly you want to kind of keep it a long term, unless you're trading the short term. But right now, looking at this oscillator here, so when that oscillator started curling down, it seems that the NVIDIA tends to see that pullback, right? Even here, we made that higher, we made that gap up and faded. You see that we made a higher high, right? Lower high on the oscillator. That's a bearish divergence right here. And we see about 2 days downturn. And the opposite is true though. As you can see, if it finds that support, right, then it tends to make them move. So we need that oscillator reset. Until then, if this 489, the micro term, is lost, you might want to kind of focus on this rising uptrend support right here, coinciding with my short-term moving average at 470. One last one, let you guys go with this, Tesla. So Tesla made a very swift bounce at 212 or so. I'd call that 210 could have been that low possibly the bottom, but we went to about 210 there. We threw that island bottom reversal, right? Island bottom, because there's a gap down, gap up. And I also talked about the fact that I tweeted out that if the island down, island up gap, and the longer it stays open, the more strength it's going to gain. So as you can see, the longer this island up gap was sustained, even with the short-term pullbacks, Tesla managed to find a way to the upside. As you can see, Tesla has reclaimed the midterm, reclaimed the short term. Looks like micro term currently acting as support last several days here. Only problem is we're dealing with that previous swing high right here, 260, while the oscillator has needed reset. So it needs to, and it's already been resetting here, as you can see. So the Tesla's been moving sideways, right? So it's been correcting through time the last several days, while the oscillator is been curling down. However, this could be looked at as maybe some kind of a slight bearish divergence if we don't see that oscillator, right? Remember, because these are equal highs here, we got the lower high on the oscillator. If we don't see that oscillator crossing up, it could be looked at as bearish divergence. We have the long term here or short term. If this thing level gets lost, 251 is the next level support, which is coinciding with that rising uptrend support, which it's been holding this entire run. I do want to talk about, maybe kind of zoom out here and give you guys maybe a bigger picture of this. You can see here last time back in May, late May, you can see when the long term and the midterm and the short term moving averages were reclaimed to the upside. And this sort of happened right here, as you can see. It sort of happened with the oscillator kind of at the top of his band. And later it came back down to retest, and that's when the oscillator reset it. So again, that's important. Retest is always important, right? So prior resistance, you see that midterm, new support, right? And that's when Tesla went from that retest level here in late May. You can see it, Tesla made 70% run up. You see that? After that midterm moving average was retested. So now that you can see the midterm moving average acting as support, we got the short term here. We're actually above it, right? You see that midterm moving average reclaimed right here. Oscillator is overbought, yes, similar to here. So if we do see a downside move to retest that midterm moving average, which is currently residing at 247, 246.5 or so here with the short term, we do see that pullback. And if this thing acts as support like this, and that midterm and the short term kind of rise up, the price surfing it up, that oscillator comes down, something like similar to here, and then reset, there's a great chance this thing is going after about 291 to fill that down gap. America, fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah! From late July. For this Labor Day weekend special to celebrate, I am currently offering for my full membership plans, not for the mini members, but full membership plans, I'm currently offering 10% discount promo code here, Labor Day 10. And this promo code is gonna be alive and it's gonna be live, ready to be used until late evening of the Monday Labor Day, and that you can use this promo code Labor Day 10 for investor and premier membership, either plans, either monthly or quarterly. Obviously you will get much more savings if you go with quarterly. VIP is not gonna be on this promotion this time around. So if you're wondering, what holdings I'm currently holding, which ones I'm gonna be buying, And if you trade options, I would recommend getting into Premier here. For any sort of a long-term, you want to learn about how to build your portfolio for long-term gains, especially after we kind of coming out of this semi recession during 2022. And I just released this special report, special update for my members. And this one is not for the mini members, but it will be for any tier, full membership, investor, premier, VIP, primary and macro targets for the entire market. We're talking S&P. And so if this is something that you've been thinking about, and one other thing I see so many people struggle in trading, I'm going to tell you right now, is because you focus so much on the short term. You're constantly trying to time the market. You're constantly getting stopped out. You're constantly trying to figure out where the perfect low is, where the perfect top is, and this market is constantly turning you around. And if you are trading like that, it's like gambling in a casino. You're not gonna succeed. So if you truly want to learn how to build your portfolio and ride the big rallies, because if you understand the secular trend of things, the macro trend, a lot of times, what can happen is when you see these corrections and pullback, you can able to see the opportunities instead of getting out in panic. A lot of times when most market participants get out in panic, that usually becomes the low. So take advantage of this Labor Day weekend special. Use coupon code Labor Day 10. It's gonna only be for the investor monthly, quarterly, or premier, and not for the VIP. VIP coupon code is not gonna work for the VIP. You guys enjoy this long holiday weekend, and I'll talk to you next week.